All right, beautiful day here in Grand Junction, Colorado. Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com, 303-666-9020. At some point or another, I probably have filmed this Jeep before in a part of a series. But when a customer specifically asks for a color, in this case, we like to just go out and show them that color. So it's a faded red, which is probably good because if you're not wanting to paint it or not doing a lot of paint work, it will polish out to an extent. This one's got some wear up on the top where it's thinning. Looks like it's getting down even to the primer, and the hood is even to the, not that you're wanting the hood. And the fenders, unfortunately, are shot because they cut the noses off, which is a bummer because that was a really nice fender. You could fix these fenders if somebody wanted them for a discount, because these were originally spot welded here. There's even a bolt there. But when we sell fenders, we do not sell them this way. They get sold as a full form. So, you know, the good is good on them. It's got a little crinkle, looks like right there, kind of hard. Looks like maybe something flexed. Doesn't really look like any damage, like as far as being hit. And it's hard to say why it did that, but it definitely has a little bit of a flex mark. It doesn't feel real bulged there, but it does have a little bit of an indentation. So you can kind of see it come down here. So anyway, I just like to show them as if they are. Now, a couple things real quick, and I say this in a lot of our videos, but clearly it's together. And there's always that, well, what if this or what if this? So the way we do our fully assembled, we call them predismantles. Our predismantles, we go over it right now, like I'm doing the best I can, show you the areas that I know to be, you know, problematic. And then we base that, we're going to base our pricing off of that. And then we give you a discount because it's predismantled. We know that you're tying up a little bit of money. Usually we do a deposit. The nice thing on your side of it is that we put really all the risk on us. So if it comes back that there is something that we didn't see and we don't have anything else to offer you as far as the tub goes, or maybe the color that you were really, you wanted, then in that case, we just kill the transaction, refund the deposit, and you go about your ways. We leave on good terms. Everything's good. In the case that we get it all down, and let me back up real quick. This allows us to kind of cash flow. We're 7-acre yard. This is a fairly big yard, and it's just Jeeps. So we got a million things just as everybody else is going on all the time. So for us just to go in, when I first started, I could just kind of go in and mosey my way along and dismantle. Well, we really don't do that anymore. We're really focused on what we have money on the table with. So in this case, the deposit gets put on it, just like the TJ one we sold last week or did a predismantle on. He put a deposit on that one. That one's going to Connecticut. And we knew pretty closely it was going to be good, but there's always that chance, like I said. And so that allowed us to move that up to basically the front of the line, at least the line for tub dismantles or frame dismantles, and then focus on dismantling that, which we finished yesterday. I'm going to make him a final video. That'll be available later if you want to see what that would look like on this particular one. The same thing would happen here. And in that case, it came out better than expected. So that's kind of your guarantee, is that even if it comes out better than I quote, which most of the time they're pretty close. I mean, I don't see too many surprises the other way, but every once in a while we're like, oh, look at, there's a little bit of surface here, a little bit of oxidation here or something in that case, and we end up getting down and dirty with it, and it's like, shoot, that's nothing. That literally is bare metal that got a little bit of flash rust. No layering, no surface, no nothing. We took a Scotch-Brite pad and it wiped it right off, kind of thing. And in that case, if it was something that we had went through and dismantled this and figured that out later, we would increase the cost to a better grade potentially. Whereas if you have a deposit on it, you not only save the couple $100 that we do for you on the pre-dismantle side of it, but you also save from that happening. We don't, come back and bait and switch you and go, well, this ended up being a lot nicer. And trust me, there has been some times, especially on CJs. YJs are a little bit where you get that, where you're like, I don't know. And then you get in there and you're like, dang, this is way cleaner. This was worth $4,000 and not $2,500 or whatever it is. So, okay, so we're looking at the passenger side, and this is just kind of afar. I do these videos so you can see it as if you were standing here next to me. And that side is stellar. I don't see anything wrong with it. Obviously, it's going to be bare, no roll bar, no dash. If you need any of those parts, be happy to throw those into a package deal for you. But as it sits right now, we would take those things off and it would just be a bare tub. Matter of fact, I have a whole load of bare tubs that are up there that are about to get washed today. Unfortunately, no YJ ones. Well, actually there is one YJ1 on that. It's a blue one. So both are lined on the inside and whatnot. This has got a black liner on the inside, just to give you an idea. And looks like probably the standard, whatever they put in beds and stuff on it. So it is paintable. But I always tell people, when you're looking at stuff like this, just know that usually when you paint over a material like this, there's always an occasion where you get slightly different hues on your reds and stuff. So either keep it black, or just know going into it that unless you have, and body shops perform miracles in my opinion, so other ways to do that. But usually trying to get it out of there, for those of you who don't know bed liner products, they're not really made to come off unless they were applied shitty. So usually if you have this inside, you know, the side, like, oh, I'll just peel all that stuff off, or I'll sandblast it off. A lot of times you'll end up sandblasting through a tub before you get most of it off. It's very, you know, it wasn't made to come off. And unless you did it by hand, like I said, you'd end up blowing through probably the tub. But again, there's products out there that neutralize it. I know that thin it out and stuff like that. We just don't mess with any of that stuff. So, okay. A couple little dings on the rear corner, scratches, right through there. Nothing big, but definitely something to note. And YJs have a tendency to rust in this area right here. This one's beautiful. I don't see anything even leaching through there. But obviously when we got it fully dismantled, we'd have to look at the back of that and make sure that we're not seeing anything there. They did line the lower rocker, and which is kind of a bummer. I don't like to see that. So that would definitely be an area that somebody's probably gonna have to put some elbow grease in and probably take a sand or two and get that at least mostly off, or possibly abrasive if you have it, or if there's chemical. And then as far as this corner goes, it's shoved in, not super hard, but definitely. Now, you'll also hear me say a lot of times, is this accessible or is it boxed in? This is an accessible corner. You can actually get all the way up in here. Most body shops know that on this stuff. So whether they replace the corner in some cases, or in this case, probably pull it out and just repair it, it's a lot easier to do than when you get a fully boxed in area. Not a lot of areas on YJs are boxed in, so you don't usually have to worry about that all that much. But it's definitely a possibility, okay? And then just like that side, the flare's off. It looks nice and clean underneath. Normally the flare would be on, like the front is, and like this side is. So, I mean, there's always a chance that we pull a flare and we see something. Right now, I'm seeing, it could be a bolt loose, but this looks like it's pulled a little bit from there. So I don't think that's on the tub side, but it possibly, this one is. This one's got a little dinger right here. You can see it kind of shoved in this area. So again, accessible, but you can see the separation right there and about my pinky width, but nonetheless that needs to come back to get a nice flush mount there. So a little bit of body work there. And then lastly, I see here now, along with that area back there, this is also a common area to go, and this is something we'd want to pull when we get it, make sure there's nothing else in here. Suspicion would be this probably does go a little bit further in here. This is the same place they do on CJs. They typically rust out, and you can already see this liner has coming up a little bit. So that stuff might actually be not too bad to pull. So, and again, that was probably just because they didn't apply it very well here, or thinned it too much. So anyway, but the area I'm talking about is where these joints are here. And these typically, now this side is really good. Normally when they start doing that, you see on the outside, it's all the way through here. I don't see this all the way through. That's actually just surface, which is just this outer layer here, and it hasn't got into the actual joint. So that's nice. I mean, there's definitely some repair work there, but nothing all the way through. Typically when they go there, they go all the way through, and you're having to mess with doing something with that channel to re-support it and whatnot. Okay, cowling is good. It's got a little thin paint up there, like I said before. This is another area. You can see the top of the dash has started to come apart. There's even some surface there. We pulled the dash out of these. They're not included, but I have, this one would be junk anyway, be scrap, but I have some nice dashes I can get you, and we can go from there on that. But this is one of those areas that I'm going to assume that this top of this YJ is good or somewhat. We might price it a little bit just with the assumption it may be, it might have some of that is leached in. The good news is most of the material on the dash looks like it's still there. I don't see it actually at all cracked or blown out completely, which would, you know, transfer this down, but it doesn't mean that there's not a little bit of surface there or oxidation. But so there might be a couple layers there just to keep in mind. Now, if we got down, we pull this out, we get down, there's, you know, I can take a screwdriver and punch holes in the top of this. then that's okay. We need to reevaluate with you on that final video. And there's a potential that you may say, hey, I can still fix that, but clearly we didn't, you know, assess that in the initial price. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you want to cancel. It just means that we need to renegotiate on what it is. We want to sell you a tub that is what we're talking about, you know, what we're saying it is. And we don't want to sell you something it's not. That's very important to us. We have very good feedback. So we'll kind of give a little bit, maybe a what if, and buffer the price a little bit here. And then just know that, you know, if it does come out to be completely blown out, it's still something you can use or you can fix, then we're good to go and go from there. So other areas that we'll have to pull that are potentials are bottom of these seat brackets. This one's actually already pulled, so that one actually is in good shape. Those don't look cracked. But sometimes when these seat brackets get loose, people don't tighten them. They start lifting as they break and gas, and they eventually start cracking the tub. So again, not a hard fix, but there is a fix there, so we want you to be aware. And then lastly, other than the bottom torque pockets, which is going to have a frame, we're not going to be able to see those at all right now. But if you look at this frame, you can see, other than the weirdness here, these holes they cut into it, which is just absolutely lazy that they did that, and a bummer because it probably ruins that frame. But the rest of that, look at how clean the bottom of that guy is. So for what we can see, the last part of it, and the liners have already been pulled because they sell really quickly. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Only the other side. This one's got a liner in it. So I always like to see this area, and it's unfortunate that I can't right now. This is definitely going to be one of those areas that until we pull this liner or pull this roll bar where these feet mount, we're not going to be able to see until it comes out. So there's definitely a potential there. I can't really adjust pricing there because I'm not seeing anything unless we do on this side. And I think this side, this liner has been pulled. It looks pretty dang clean. So we're not seeing any buildup here. This is just dirt. You can see there's nice paint underneath there. So I think, and then the seams here look real clean. So I'm gonna say that this side is gonna look just like that other side, and that's how we'll price it. Now again, we pull the roll bar, we pull the liner, and it's blown out or it's starting to leach into the seams here. We can either back out of the whole thing if you decide and don't want another tub, or we can adjust it down further for that, okay? Oh, I can't believe I have to do about 30 of these a day. Yeah, I'm gonna do 30 videos a day, and I am completely out of breath. We've been in Texas for a few weeks, so the elevation change has not been easy. Anyway, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. We appreciate you hanging out with me and my beautiful wife today. She's gonna be out here washing tubs, so take a look. I'll upload this. It'll take a little while. We have slow internet out here. I'll fire off the YouTube to you. See if that's what you were hoping for red. If not, for what we have available right now, we have a blue one that's on that trailer. That's actually the very front one. We'll probably be washing here today. That's pretty good. It had a little damage on the rear corner, but I didn't see any rust, and that one's fully dismantled. And then coming down the line here, there's another red one here for a potential. I still think that other one's a little cleaner, but this one's good here, no rust on that one area. And this one looks good too. So there doesn't look like any here, but again, there's a big flare there. It doesn't have a liner. This was a Laredo. That's why it's got the pinstriping on it. It's got a little bulge in that one. I'll do a whole different video on this one. But we'll first tackle this one. Got a ding on the corner here. This one probably a little, actually this one might be just like nicer. So this is there's no liner on it. That might be a advantage for some. Yeah, that liner. And that corner there, that looks good. It's got a little dinger right there. Tailgate's actually nice on that one. Not that again, that's something we usually strip. Dash has been pulled, but again, we have those. Windshield frame is starting to leach up here. It's kind of hard to see how extensive that would be. May not be too bad. Is this one fold down? I'll show you what I was talking about earlier.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's what we want to see. So yeah, let's just, you know what, I won't even have to really video this. The two bulges right here, by the way, we picked this up as a project that somebody had started and didn't finish. And they nailed that pretty good there in that little tunnel. A good sledgehammer would probably go a long way, popping most of that out. I'm sure there's a way to do it a little bit more non-invasively, but nonetheless, that's from a fork. So what they did is they picked it up from the back, long end with long forks, and without having the tranny, the cross member in here, which they didn't, they just picked it up and it lifted the floor right there. So it's pretty localized, but I do want you to be aware there's a good bulge here and a good bulge on that side. And I can have Brandon beat it down somewhat so you can kind of see what it would look like. That'd be no problem to do. But sometimes body guys go, you know what? You know, we don't want anybody else causing further, so we'll just take it as is and we'll adjust it for that. So, okay, but otherwise that one actually might be a beauty. And then that one does have the running boards, the factory running board spots. So if it happens to be a Laredo or a Sahara that you're working on, that might be a better option anyway. Otherwise, you'd have to fill those holes in. And what I mean by that is, you look on this one, this is a non-Laredo or Renegade Sahara style. So the flares end right here and they don't continue all the way across like that other one. So again, that's a kit, that's a factory kit, so nothing aftermarket. I do see a couple screws that this didn't have factory. You'll have to mess with. There's 2 screws, right? Screw holes that will be there. I'm not sure what they were doing there. Maybe had something mounted at one time, okay? And then the roll bars, like I said, we have some of that stuff out here. So aside from those, that one's, I know, got some body damage right there. This one's got diamond plates, so we have no idea. That stuff always hides stuff. And then that white one is actually pretty good. It's got the normal corners, but that takes care of, well, this one and that other white one. That will take care of our YJs for the moment. Unfortunately, they've definitely sold a lot faster than they used to. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you've enjoyed. Like I said, I'll get this uploaded and fired off and just keep going down the line of callbacks today. I appreciate everybody's patience. It is our busy time of year. We still have another 2 solid months of hopefully moving and shaking before we start slowing down, which is good and bad. We can start organizing stuff then, but really like to get what we can out there. And I do have, for anybody that checks this out, there is a scheduled trip planned for the end of May, first week of June. Now, that is likely going to be me, but not 100%. But I will have it to your door, regardless if it's me or we hire we have a hotshot crew that usually rotates through. And they only ship with us, the crew that we like the best, in the summer months, because they won't come to Colorado. And we just hit that nice time of year where they start coming back in. So we have that as well. All right, 303-666-9020. Thanks again, and we'll chat with you guys here in a little bit.